Are you a goal-oriented person? Have you been setting goals over the past few years, but only managing to get about half of those goals done? And would you like to be the kind of person that goes from that to being the kind of person that gets 80%, 90%, in some cases even 100% of those goals done? If your answer to all those questions is yes, then this video is for you. Okay, so there's probably 5 reasons why that's happening, and that's what we're going to talk about in this video. All right, so by the end of this video, you will have a better understanding of how to better set your goals for success along the lines of personal growth. Okay, so it's going to increase the likelihood of you actually getting those goals done from the actual stage of setting the goals before you even get to taking action. Okay, so before I do that, I've got some stuff that I want to clarify with you so that everything is more or less crystal clear, or at least close to crystal clear, and we're moving on the same page. So we're going to define what a goal is first. I'm going to talk about some of the reasons why people actually set goals, and then we're going to talk about the context of this video, because I don't want you to take this video and then apply it to something where it wouldn't work. Okay, so this is mostly for personal growth. I'll explain that in a bit. Okay, this might take a while. I'll try and keep it short, but I'll tell you what the first 2 reasons are, at least. So the first reason is you might not be specific enough, as in you might not be clear enough about what it is that you actually want to achieve. Second reason is you don't have a way to track your progress when you're actually taking action and working towards your goal, or when you're working on your goal. Okay, so just some teasers. Before I tell you the other 3, let's talk about what a goal actually is, and the context in which we're talking about, and some of the reasons why people actually set goals. Right, so definition of a goal, there's 3 different definitions we're going to look at. One of them is a goal or objective is an idea of the future or desired results that a person or a group of people envision, plan, and commit to achieve. Second one, the object of so a goal is the object of a person's ambition or effort, an aim or desired result. Last one, a goal is a specific desired outcome or objective that an individual or organization strives to achieve within a defined time frame. Goals are often used to provide direction, motivation, and focus, helping to guide efforts and resources toward achieving a desired result. Okay, so that's more or less what we look at. I know that I've been in a conversation where people are talking about the difference between a goal, an objective, and a task, but we're going to look at a goal and an objective as if it's the same thing for the sake of this video. Okay, I'm not saying it's the same thing, but for the sake of this video, we're going to pretend it's the same thing, but we're going to use more or less the term goal. Okay, all right, so here's some of the reasons why people actually set goals. I mean, why do they do that in the first place? Okay, so one of the reasons is fulfilling relationships. You want to have better relationships with the people around you, the people close to you. Another reason is personal freedom. Another reason is fame and success. Another reason could be profitable business or career. So along the lines of fame and success, did you know that Michael Jackson, you know Michael Jackson, everyone knows Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson wrote to himself to become a legend. He actually took the time to sit down and write to himself to say that he's going to, he was saying to himself that I'm going to become a legend. You might have known about this, but I only came across those kind of videos in circulation on my feed just this year. And if I'm not mistaken, Michael Jackson passed away 2008, yeah, and we're now in 2025. And people are still talking about it. People are still doing Michael Jackson performances. And let's not even mention what he actually achieved when he was still alive. So yeah, that says, I won't explain much about that. That says a lot about what setting a goal for yourself, sitting down and writing down what your goal is can actually achieve for you. Okay, so in case, so that's let's just feed into the effectiveness of goal setting for your personal growth. Okay, so now the context in which we're talking about this is the context of personal growth. Okay, right? So the kind of personal growth that I'm talking about is the kind of growth that doesn't negatively impact another person. So a very blunt example, if you want to grow in the area of your finance or something, you want to have more money, that's your goal. And then you decide, okay, let me steal from someone who has money. That's negatively impacting another person because you're taking money from them without their knowledge. And by the time they realize that there's money missing, it will be too late. So that's negatively impacting another person. You'd rather actually go and work for that person to get the money or something. Right. So that's what I mean by personal growth that doesn't negatively affect another individual. Another example could be, let's say you are an athlete, you're a sprinter, and you're about to run a 100-meter race, and then you're on camp the day before the race with the other competitors, and you guys are having the same food, and then you decide, okay, fine, for me to win, let me go poison their food or let me injure them while they were asleep or something. That's not the kind of personal growth we're talking about. I don't even know. I wouldn't say that's actually personal growth anyway. We're talking about personal growth that helps you grow without negatively impacting another person. So that could be you working on your education, you investing into your career or investing into your business. Growing your business, growing yourself as an individual. You want to learn a new skill. You want to get into a new training program. You want to diversify your knowledge. That kind of things. That kind of stuff. Sorry. So that's the personal growth that we're talking about. Okay. So now we're clear on what the context is, right? So as I was saying, if you are at 50% productivity and you want to aim for like 80 to 100% productivity, there's probably, like I said, there's probably five reasons why you're still at 50% and you're not getting to the 100% that you desire. When you take all of those 5 reasons and you put them together, you can call these SMART goals. Okay, you might have heard about this before. I only came across it last year when I did my fitness training course at Lifestyle Medicine Academy. And on that note, if you want to become a fitness trainer, if you want to learn more about fitness even for yourself, Lifestyle Medicine Academy at Innovate Gym in Emerald Hill. Yeah, that should be the place. Look for Debbie Jeans and you'll be in safe hands. So this is a shout out to them. Okay, so this is where I learned about it. And I decided to do some extra research about it and see how this can actually help myself and you as well. So that's what we're talking about today. All right. So sometimes it's not really that you are unproductive. It might actually be that you are setting yourself up for a lack of productivity, if that makes sense. So if you're still operating at like just getting half of your goals done and you want to get at least most of them done, like let's say you got 10 goals that you set for the year or something or for the day, but on average, you only get like 5 of them done. One of the reasons might be, okay, the way you can look at it, it might not be, I'm not saying it is, but it might not be that you are unproductive per se, but it's just that when you actually write down your goals, when you set your goals, the way you do it is setting yourself up for a lack of productivity and setting yourself up so that you only get half of those goals done, sometimes even less than half. I'm talking about this from experience. Okay, so we're basically, no wonder why they say failure to plan is planning to fail. Okay, so these 5 steps put together call them SMART goals. And SMART, yes, we're saying SMART as in it's a smarter way for planning goals rather than just the average write down what you want to do. But SMART in itself is actually an acronym. Okay, what is an acronym? An acronym is a word formed from the initial letters of a phrase or name as a way to shorten a longer phrase into a more memorable and easily communicated term. I'll read that again. An acronym, what's going on with me? Is a word formed from the initial letters of a phrase or name as a way to shorten a longer phrase into a more memorable and easily communicated term. So from that, you figured out that SMART is actually like each letter stands for something. Okay, so we've got the S stands for specific. Okay, we've got the M that stands for measurable. We've got the A that stands for adjustable. We've got the R that stands for relevant, and we've got the T that stands for time bound. Okay, So just to basically give you a long story short, then I'll go into detail after that. Specific is clarity, speaking to clarity. So you might not be clear enough, like I said at the beginning, you might not be clear enough on what it is that you actually want to get done. And then second thing is measurable. You might not have a way to track your progress when you're acting on your goal. Adjustable, you didn't create enough room for like adjusting only when necessary. I'll explain that a bit further. Relevant, your goal might not be aligned with your values, the things that you desire the most. Again, I'll explain that later. And then time bound, you might not be setting a time limit or deadline when you're planning your goal. Okay, so those are 5 reasons why you're still operating at like 50%. Okay, so right. So this is basically these letters, and what they mean is basically what I concluded uh, from my own research after having compared these letters with other sources as well. So we're going to look at other sources, and I'll explain to you how I actually came to my own conclusion. Because when you search up on the internet, SMART goals, it's a very famous blueprint. So if you search it up, you definitely find it, but you might find that from some sources or some websites, you will find that, let's say, for example, the A doesn't stand for adjustable. It actually stands for attainable or achievable. R might stand for, we said relevant. R might actually stand for realistic. Okay. So it's all different. But I've compared them, and I've decided this is what I concluded when it comes to an effective way to set yourself up for success in personal growth. Okay. So when you trace it back even further to where it started, SMART goals was first introduced by this guy called Geoge T Doran, and he's a management consultant and an author who first introduced it to companies, okay, companies, organizations, and managers. But then over time, the term SMART goals actually became popular to even individuals who are now applying it to themselves, which is basically what we are doing. Okay, we're applying it to individuals, so it's for you, for your own personal growth. So just an aside, uh, he officially introduced it in his article in 1981 called "There's a Smart Way to Write Management Goals and Objectives." I think that's the one. I'll put a link to the article in the description of the video, so that if you want to have a look at it, I recommend you do. It's a good read. You can have a look at that as well. But aside from that, apparently there's a guy called Paul J. Mayer who might have introduced that before him in his book in 1961, 1965, somewhere there, in his book called Personal Success Planner, which would be very interesting, because if that's true, then that means that the original design was actually for individuals. No wonder why it can be effective for personal growth. But I'm not saying it is. I couldn't find much about what Paul J. Mayer has to say, but I found George T. Duran's article, so we're going to look at that. All right. So aside from that, let's dive into this now. The SMART goals. Right. So the sources that I was talking about that I basically did my research on, there's the YouTube channel called Develop Good Habits. If you look up a video by them that's titled SMART Goals Quick Overview with 21 SMART Goals examples, you can look at that for reference as well. AI on WhatsApp. That's another source that I got it from. And then obviously George T. Duran's 1981 article, There's a Smart Way to Write Management Goals and Objectives. Okay, so I'm going to take you through what they said and what I found from what they said, each of these sources. And then we're going to discuss how I came to my conclusion, what I think about what they said, and then what the conclusion that I came to. Okay, so the first one is specific. The first reason why your goals might not be as effective as you want them to be. Right. So develop good habits we're saying specific, right? Develop good habits says specific as well. And what they said was that this speaks to the 6 W's. One of the 6 W's is the what, the who, the where, the when, the which, the why. Okay. So basically what they're saying is that when you're looking at specificity, you're looking at what exactly do you want to accomplish? Who is involved? Where will you complete the goal? When will you do it? When do you want to do it? which requirements and constraints might get in your way, why are you doing it? Okay, so that's what they had to say about it. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to take out the when, and we're going to slot it into T, the time bound. Okay, and then we're going to take out the why, and we're going to slot it into the relevant. So I'll explain that when we get to those tips. Okay, AI on WhatsApp says S stands for specific as well. So we're moving together. It says clearly define what you want to achieve. And yeah, I agree. That's basically all the rest of the 4 W's that we didn't take out in specific from develop good habits. All that just summarized. So clearly define what you want to achieve. Okay, and then Geoge T Doran says specific as well. So he says target a specific area for improvement. Okay, while we're at it, Geoge T Doran actually designed the blueprint for organizations and corporates. This wasn't really for individuals, unless you were a manager of some sort. Okay, but we're taking some of his views and understanding on SMART goals because I found some really beautiful stuff. Learned a lot about from his understanding, and then we're just going to apply it into the context of personal growth, your personal growth. Okay, so just no side there, just so that we're on the same page. Okay, but anyway, he does say that specific is just target a specific area for improvement. So you can target a specific area where you want to improve. You want to improve your health, you want to improve your fitness, you want to improve your career, you want to improve your education. You can target a specific area. Okay, so that's specific. So all that is just the same. Okay, so that's specific. And then we have, no. So the conclusion that I came to is that when you're looking at specificity, you clearly define what you want and you use your words to paint a clear picture of the outcome or the result that you desire. Okay, so you have to remove, with your words, you have to remove every single doubt that you have of what you want to achieve. It shouldn't be blurry in your mind when you set your goal. Okay, it should be crystal clear from the start. Okay, so make sure you have that accounted for. Okay, so then next, so that's probably one of the reasons why you might not be as effective as you want to be, because when you're setting your goal, you're setting blurry goals. They're not clear enough, or rather specific enough. Second reason, we got the M that stands for measurable, and develop good habits says this about measurable. It says measurable as well. It says the M stands for measurable, so we're moving together. And here's what it says: anything that measures progress towards a goal, determining whether you've progressed from point A to point B, helping you figure out whether you are headed in the right direction or not. Measurements can be precise times, amounts, or other units. So this answers to the 3 H's in how. Basically, how much, how fast, and how many. Okay, so I 100% agree with that. I wouldn't change anything with that. Then you got AI. AI says quantify your goal so progress can be tracked. It's more or less the same thing as good habits is saying. Geoge T Doran says quantify or at least suggest an indicator of progress. Yeah. So yeah, I agree with this because it's not all the time that you'll be able to measure it by giving a figure to it or a number to it. All right. And I don't really have an example, but when you're setting your goals, you might find there's a time when that happens. Then you know that well, it doesn't have to have a number at the end of it, so that you can track your progress. That makes sense. Okay. Because sometimes it's abstract, and George actually talks about it in his article, so you can have a read about that. Yeah, so that's that. Okay, so basically the conclusion that I came to for measurable is you basically just have a way to track your progress. That's what measurability is all about. And this is actually my personal favorite because you know when you're running a race, you can track it. And measurable actually feeds into motivation as well, because the closer you get to the finish line, when you're running like a 5K run or a 12K run or marathon or 20K, I don't know, if you're running like a long distance run, when you know that you're close to the finish line, like that moment when you can see it, and you see is like you just have 100 meters left to go, you get more excited, you want to finish the race. And when you have people that are actually in a competition, you find that they actually go even faster because they know, just need to get through this and then we're done. Okay, so this beautiful way when you can track your progress is just, it changes the game. This is why it's my favorite. Let's look at this as an example. When you lose your phone in the house, happens to me a lot, right? So when you lose your phone in the house, when you misplace it in the household or something, and then you ask someone else, your sibling, your child, your parent, one of your parents, um, you ask them to call your phone for you. Hopefully, it won't be on silent, because but yeah, you ask them to call your phone, and you hear it ringing. When you hear it ringing, you can tell by the sound where it is and how far away from the phone you actually are. And you go to your phone by just following the sound. And eventually you'll find your phone and you have it back in your hand. Okay. But imagine now when your phone is on silent, you have no way to track your progress. You are just looking in the wilderness, as I would call it. So yeah, measurable. You need to have a way to track your progress because you might actually have your phone. I'll tell you a funny story. Uh, I didn't have a second phone or anything, and the one time I lost my phone, um, I thought I lost my phone. Actually, I didn't. But in my mind, I had lost it. I had misplaced it rather, and it was in the house. There was no electricity. It was dark. So I started looking for my phone. I was using a torch. Guess which torch I was using? I was using my phone torch. So I was using my phone torch looking for my phone, and I was like, where is this phone? There's no one to call my phone. I can't even ask anyone because I'm home alone to call my phone. Looking for it and looking for it, went up and down the whole house. Only after like 15 minutes at least of going up and down, I just sat down. I'm like, I don't know where my phone is. And then I realized, hey, it's actually in my hand. And I was looking for it the whole time. But anyway, the point is, when you don't have a way to track your progress, you don't know how close or far off you are. Close is one thing, but even more importantly, you don't know how far away from your goal you actually are. Because your phone could be, you might have misplaced it, and it might have slipped out of your pocket on the couch where you're sitting. And then you start looking for your phone. You get up, you go to the bedroom. You're actually moving further away from your goal, which your goal in this case would be to just look for your phone, to just get your phone, right? So, or rather, let's say to find your phone. So when you're doing that, it's actually dangerous when you're going further away from your goal. So you need to have a way to measure your progress. This is why this is my favorite. Okay. So basically everyone else, all our other sources are saying the same thing. So we're going with that. Measurable. Now we have the the third step. So the second reason why you might not be as effective as you want to be is the same thing that we just talked about. You might not have a way to measure your progress. Okay. Now the third reason, adjustability. Okay, just a side note, I'm the only person that I know of, at least at the moment, I don't know if anyone else came to the same conclusion, who has the A as adjustable. Everyone else has something different. Okay, so develop good habits says A means attainable. Okay, and attainable, their explanation of that is that attainable means stretching the limits of what you think is possible. Not impossible to complete, but often challenging and full of obstacles. So what you do is you look at your current life and set an objective that is slightly beyond your reach. This will set you up so that even if you fail, you still achieve something of significance. That's what develop good habits had to say. Okay, so this is actually a good point. I'm sticking to adjustable, but this is a good point. Stretching the limits of what you think is possible. But I don't like the part where it says, so that even if you fail, you have achieved something of significance. I don't want to use the term fail because failing would mean that you haven't gotten your goal done. And we don't even want to look at failure. We want to focus on getting your goal done. And you want to focus so much so that we don't even spend any of our energy on thinking of the possibility of failure because that would just drag you down. Okay. So let's rather call it, instead of calling it failed, let's rather call it delayed or incomplete because your goal will still be existing. Okay. So for lack of a better example, right? Let's say you want to get back home, and this actually happened to me before. You want to get back home, and you're using combis to get back home. Get into a combi. You're halfway out of town. You're on your way back home, wherever you're staying. If you're Greendale, Glenview, GCPT, if you're in Borodale, Chitungwiza, wherever you stay, right? You're halfway out of town from where you are to your home, and then the combi just breaks down. I'm sure this might have happened to this happened to me. I don't know if this happened to you. So the combi breaks down. Now your goal is to get back home before the end of the day, or at least before weird hours, weird things happen. And then the combi breaks down. Okay, are you going to tell yourself that you failed your goal? You failed to get back home. You're just going to decide, I failed to get back home. This is it. I'm going to sleep on the road today. Is that what you do? Obviously, you're going to adjust it. You're going to make a plan from there. I need to adjust. Your goal was to get home by using combis. Okay, maybe you were budgeting and you were saying that you want to get the, let's say this is back in the day when combis are still 50 cents. I think they're $1 almost everywhere now. I don't know what it is at your place. But you want to get the ones for 50 cents. This is just before the lockdown. So now you're stuck in the middle of the road. You want to get back home. You have to get back home. So now you have to make a plan. Okay. Now you end up getting a lift, and the lift, they charge you $1 for that. Now you've gone a bit out of budget, but you still got your goal done. Okay. I wouldn't call that failed. Okay? You just adjusted your goal when necessary. I'll explain the when necessary part as we go on. Okay. So yeah, this is why I wouldn't want to use the term fail, but this is actually a valid point to say stretching the limits of what you think is possible. Okay. Yeah, but we're going to stick to adjustable for that reason. Okay, because we're talking about personal growth. Because the thing is, actually, no, let me not explain now. Let's get through the other things. I talk too much. Okay, AI says A stands for achievable. So what they say, the explanation of achievable is, again, like I said, the A's might be different. Develop good habits says attainable. AI says achievable. But anyway, AI says achievable means you ensure the goal is realistic and attainable. Okay, so in the fitness training course, they actually put the R. We're saying the R means relevant, but they put R as realistic. So yeah, interesting. And this was actually the explanation. Like realistic, you need to make sure that this is actually possible to achieve. When you're looking at it from physical fitness, yeah, you want to make sure that this is something you can actually achieve. Otherwise, you don't just walk into a gym and say that, okay, today I'm gonna lose 20 kgs or something. That's not gonna happen. Okay, so you have to be realistic. So that is a valid point. But we're gonna stick to this adjustability. All right. And then Geoge T Doran says assignable. So again, remember George actually designed it for corporates and organizations. So he says specify who will do it. That's assignable. Okay, so we're not going to use this one this time, because basically when looking at the context of personal growth, by default you're the one who's assigned to do it, right? Unless you are, like I said, you're a manager of some sort, and one of your goal, for you to get your goal done, you have to actually assign someone else to do some of the tasks that need to be done. Okay, then we can look at it that way. But yeah, we're focusing more on personal growth along different contexts of like you bettering yourself in terms of education, fitness, well-being, decrease of stress levels, or blood sugar levels, or something like that, right? So the conclusion that I came to is adjustable. We are going to call it, we're going to call it adjustable because, like I said, life happens. We talked about in the example of the combi breakdown, or a bus breakdown when you're traveling from city to city. You need to make a plan. Because the thing is, life happens. There's two things that happen in life. Okay. There's determining factors and then there's contributing factors. I'm not going to explain it in this video because we need to get moving. Okay. So, but basically contributing factors is the things that you, the stuff that happens to you, but you're not in control of. And then the determining factors are the things that you can actually change. You can actually do something about it. So an example of contributing factors, the bus broke down, the combi broke down, or the rate has gone up, something. That happens quite often. So yeah, life happens. Something might just happen. So you need to have a room for adjustability. Another thing is values change as you grow. If you just think about it, what you valued when you were a child, when you were like 5 years old or something, is very different to what you value now. Especially if you're like working or something, or if you're like the breadwinner at home or something like that. So values change as you grow. So just because you might need to adjust your goal depending on your values. If your value changes and then your goal stays the same, you just be harming yourself. Okay, so you might have a very good goal for you as an individual, but then your value change because of something. Okay, as you grow, and then you wanna focus so much on being the person that gets the goal done. I'm gonna do what I say I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do what I say I'm gonna do, but not realizing that this will actually harm you. So you always need to. That also plays into measurability. Always measure where your values are at and see if your goal is aligned with your values. Okay. Geoge T Doran actually explains it very clearly in his article. So again, I recommend you have a read of that. He was actually talking about job mismatches. Okay, so just I'm not going to go into detail about that. Just go and have a look at it in his article. Okay. Here's one thing that I have to say about adjustability, though. Remember, I always said time bound. You set a deadline. Okay, so when you're adjusting your goal, like I said, only, and I emphasize again, only when necessary. Do not just change your goal because you procrastinated. Okay, so procrastination is not, adjustability is not an excuse for procrastination. Let's put it that way. If that makes, I think that makes sense. So let's actually define what procrastination really is so that we're moving on the same page again. Again, I just want to make this crystal clear. Procrastination is the act of unnecessarily delaying or postponing something despite knowing that there could be negative consequences for doing so. Another definition that I found: procrastination is the habit of delaying or putting off tasks or decisions, often leading to the feelings of guilt, stress, and lost productivity. Okay, so like I said, I don't want you to take this out of context, because you might be a 50% rate of productivity in terms of your goal success rate, and then you use this blueprint and then use adjustability, and then you procrastinate, you just sit when you know you're supposed to act, or you instead of going back home and doing some planning, you just go out. I'm not saying going out is bad, but you go out when you know that you're supposed to do something. Okay, and then you just procrastinate and say, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it. Then tomorrow becomes the next day becomes the next month becomes next week becomes next year or something like that. And then it just goes on and on and on and on. Okay. So you have to discipline yourself enough to commit to your own goals for personal growth. Because when you talk about personal growth, no one is actually going to grow for you. Okay. So you have to discipline yourself to actually commit to your own growth. So adjustable only and only when absolutely necessary. I have to stress that. Okay, so now I've got that done. You got the adjustability. Now I've got the R. So yeah, the third reason why your goal might not be as effective is that you haven't created enough room for adjustability. And you can refer to the examples that we just used. Okay, only when procrastination doesn't come into play. In R, relevant, we're saying that R stands for relevant. Develop Good Habits says that R also stands for relevant. And here's what they said: relevant means focusing on what you truly desire, the opposite of inconsistent or scattered goals, in harmony with everything that is important to your life, e.g., success in your career, happiness, or happiness with the people you love. Okay, we're not going to remove anything from good habits. This is my take on this, but we're just gonna take the why from develop good habits that they put in specificity. We're gonna put the why in relevant to summarize all this that they just did. So you're basically asking yourself, why is this goal important to you? All right, so you can say why is it important to you, or what values of yours does this goal align with? Because if you just have scattered goals and they're not in harmony with your values, again, you might be harming yourself, as I've explained earlier. Okay, right? AI says relevant. AI says R stands for relevant as well, so we're moving together on the same page. And the explanation is align the goal with your values, needs, and priorities. So it's not just about values, it's also about your needs and your priorities. Although I think your priorities are determined by your values anyway. So yeah, but your needs as well for those values to work. So it's all just working together. Okay, so we're not adding or removing anything, the same thing. Geoge T Doran says R stands for realistic. So does LMA at the fitness course. Okay, they have a reason. They have a very legitimate reason for making it really realistic. Like I said, you can't just walk into a gym and ask your fitness trainer to help you lose 20 kgs in one day. Okay, so Geoge T Doran says state what results can realistically be achieved. So that's basically what's it achievable that AI, I think was it AI said for A. It's basically the same thing. Okay, so yeah, like I said, it's more for corporates, but we're going to apply it to individuals, right? So the whole realistic thing can be applied to individuals, but I'd rather reserve the R for relevant because yeah, we're just asking ourselves why. And when you remember the thing about why, the beautiful thing about why is that when you know why you're doing something, you are likely to do it wholeheartedly and more effectively. And that increases the likelihood of you actually getting it done besides just doing it effectively. Imagine if when your boss or your higher up or your superior just tells you to do something and you don't understand why you are doing it. You're just being told, do this, do this, do that, do this, do that. But if they explain to you why, so I've seen this. Okay, not really that I've seen it firsthand, but in my own circles, I've kind of seen it. But they talk about it in so many other places that when you're in an organization or a team, and then you've got the leader. When the leader just tells you do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, do that, you end up just asking, "What are we doing? What are we doing?" Then you just eventually might even get frustrated. But when you walk into a team or an organization or you get a new job and your superior tells you exactly why you're doing what you're doing, imagine the difference. Okay, so imagine at your job, the one that you're working in right now, or higher up, your manager, supervisor, or I don't know what you call it in your area. Um, when you before you even start working, he or she would explain to you exactly why this job is necessary for the company as a whole, the role that you're playing and how it's going to feed into the growth of the company, right? Besides you just being compensated and being told to do stuff that you get paid for. When you do that, you go to work knowing that okay, this is how. I think this is why some corporates actually tell the employees what the vision of the company is, because they need them to know why they're doing what they're doing, so that it adds to the effectiveness. Okay, so we're gonna reserve relevant for why. Okay, I mean we're gonna reserve R for relevant, as in speaking to the why. Then we got the T. So again, before I go to the T, that's the fourth reason why relevance is the fourth reason why you might not be as effective as you want. You might not have spoken to your why enough. Okay. So basically aligning it with your value. You look at a value, actually there's going to be an example later on, you see it. Okay. And then it'll become more clear. So fifth reason, T, time bound. You might not be setting a deadline for your goal. Okay. So develop good habits says T stands for time bound, and the explanation is specific deadlines. You have a specific deadline to achieve your desired outcome before a target date. Sorry. This makes your goal more challenging and grounding. We're leaving it like that. Okay. So AI says set a specific deadline or time frame for for completion. Sorry. Again, we're leaving it like that. I've been talking about competitions too much. Geoge T Doran says T stands for time related. And what he says, again, this is for corporates. It says specify when the result or results can be achieved. Okay. So we can actually take this and directly apply it to an individual. So you can apply this to yourself. We're not changing anything, just that instead of calling it time related, we're going to call it time bound, even though it's just the same thing. But just so that we're clear, T stands for time bound. So that's that. Okay, so now you got all those 5 reasons. These are the 5 reasons why you might not be as effective as you want to be. And let's look at an example so that we make it even more crystal clear. Okay, so an example, I got this from AI, and I think it's a great example. We're just going to use it as is. Okay, and then we're just going to apply the blueprint that we've concluded to be effective. So the example is, I'll read this twice. So the example is of a goal, a SMART goal, that is. I want to improve my fitness, my physical fitness, by running 30 minutes 3 times a week for the next 12 weeks so I can participate in a 5K charity run. I'll read that again. I want to improve my physical fitness by running for 30 minutes 3 times a week for the next 12 weeks so I can participate in a charity 5K run. Very beautiful example of a SMART goal. So it might have been drained by now, but this long conversation of SMART goals, long 5 reasons, so on. It's such a long process of just setting one goal. So let's break it down. Okay. So, but before we break it down, let's first tweak something in this goal. So this goal, the first part says, I want to. We're going to rephrase I want to I am going to. Because the thing is, from my understanding, if you tell yourself, I want to do something, do A, B, C, D, you're kind of leaving it blank and you're not immediately putting your brain to work. Okay, it's not as demanding when you say I want to, because you can easily just want something and then not have it when you want it. Okay, but when you say I am going to, immediately your brain is thinking, okay, we have to do this. We have to do this. How can we do this? Your brain is already working before you even put yourself consciously to action. Subconsciously, you're already working on your goal. When you say I am going to, that increases the likelihood of you getting the goal done. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so just an aside, that's got nothing to do with the SMART goals. It's just making it more demanding for yourself. So we're gonna say I am going to improve my physical fitness by running 30 minutes 3 times a week for the next 12 weeks so I can participate in a charity 5K run. Okay, so now back to the whole thing of being overwhelmed. Let's simplify this blueprint. Okay, so you can look at it as the what and the how. Instead of thinking I have to be okay, I have to take specificity, I have to take measurability, I have to take adjustability, I have to take relevance, I have to take the whole time bound thing. Okay, you can just go this way. Start with the what and the how. Another reason why you might not be, just a bonus reason, why you might not be as effective as you want to be is because you're telling yourself the what so much, but you never sit down and actually properly map out the how. Okay, so the what and the how, I actually got this from Geoge T Doran's article. I'm making so much reference to this because it's a good read, guys. Go and look at it. You wouldn't be wasting your time, especially if you're looking at personal growth. So he says that he calls the what and the how the twins. Okay, so it says that you have to have the what and the how. You might not actually need to have all the S, the M, the A, the R, the T. You might not need to have all of those, but you need to at least have the what and the how. So let's apply this what and the how to this example that we just talked about. So we're going to separate it. We're going to divide. It's just one sentence, so it makes it very short and sweet. We're going to separate that sentence into 2. Okay. The what is the part where you say I am going to. So I am going to improve my physical fitness. This is your what. This is basically the start of your goal. The how now becomes by running everything that comes after by. So by running 30 minutes 3 times a week for the next 12 weeks so I can participate in charity 5K run. Yeah, so basically when you're setting your SMART goal, you can start this way. You say I am going to blank space. You fill in that blank space depending on what your values are and what it is that you want to achieve. And then after that, by blank space. This is your how. Okay. And then funny thing, let's just add this. There's this part where it says, so I can participate in a charity 5K run. Let's actually divide the sentence into 3 parts. So the third part is so that, and then blank space. Because as you can see, this person, values the 5K run so much that they want to participate in this charity 5K run. Okay, so this is their value. This is what they're working with. This is what they value at this time. They want to participate in this charity 5K run. So you've got the what, you've got the how, then you've got the so, which is the value. All right. So basically, when you do all that, but that almost covers everything in the SMART criteria anyway. So let's look at how that's actually done. Okay. So breaking it down, I'm going to give you a breakdown that AI gave, because it's AI's example. So they actually gave us the breakdown themselves. Or it, I don't know what you want to call it. It gave us the example, the breakdown itself. Okay. Still new technology to me. So improve. So specific is the part where it says improve physical fitness. Fair and fine, straightforward. Measurable, run for 30 minutes 3 times a week. You can see, you can measure. Okay, so you can measure by saying, okay, today did I run, this week did I run for 30 minutes 3 times a week? Did I do that? Okay, if you haven't done that, then you know that you're moving further away from your goal than closer to your goal. Okay. But if you do that, then you know you're moving closer. Okay, so instead of looking for a phone in the bedroom when it's on the couch where you were sitting, right? And then it says achievable. Let's explain what AI says first. Realistic goal based on current fitness level. That's what they said. But we are going to say adjustable instead, right? So that we adjust it only when it's necessary again. Because let's actually put an example to it. Let's say that you're really not fit. You're sedentary. Sedentary means you haven't done, I can't remember what the period of time is. You haven't done fitness. You haven't done any physical activity for like 3 months, 6 months, somewhere there. I think 3 to 6 months, somewhere there. Then you want to immediately jump into 3 minutes 3 times a week. So you might find that, okay, maybe you might be fit enough. But in case you're not, you start running the first 30 minutes. Then after 30 minutes, you realize, oh, you fainted. You can't even wake up the next day. It's all yo. And at some point, maybe you didn't even get to finish the 30 minutes, especially if it's that bad. Then you know you need to adjust your goal. No, not really. You need to adjust something in your goal, not really the goal per se. So there's this concept that we have that's called nervous system adaptation. Okay, like I said, you don't just walk into the gym and you say you can lose 20 kgs today. Depending on your level of fitness, you don't just wake up and say, okay, I'm going to run 30 minutes a day, when you actually can't, when your body can't handle the pressure. Okay, so let's say that this is the case. Okay. What you then need to do is that you need to work, and is for your measurability, you're now going to make it a progressive approach. What I mean by progressive approach, you start chilled and then you progress from there until you get to the stage where you can run 30 minutes flat without stopping. Wow. Okay. So what you do is you say, I am going to progressively, you actually add walking intervals. So you say that, okay, so here's what I'm going to do. Instead of running 30 minutes straight, which killed me, I'm going to walk for 5 minutes. It's more like a warm up. And then I'm going to run for 5 minutes. That's 10 minutes already. Then I'm going to repeat that for another 2 times, for another 2 cycles. So I've got a total of 30 minutes that I've used for my for my running in total, basically. But just that, it's got walking intervals. So like that, you start chilled and you find that maybe I can actually manage this. I can actually walk and then jog, and walk and jog, and walk and jog. You do this for the first week. That depends, or you might need to adjust it further, like the first 2 weeks or something, depending on the level of fitness. But for the sake of this example, just doing the first week. Second week, you progress it now. So you walk for 5 minutes. Now you run for 10 minutes. You've got a total of 15 minutes that you've used. You walk for 5 minutes again. You run for another 10 minutes. You've completed your 30 minutes. All right. Third week, I think we're good to go now. The body knows what's happening. The nervous system is adapting to this kind of workout. Okay, because you might put your body in shock by just going diving into 30 minutes one time. So now, third week, you realize my body feels like it's energetic. I can even do, let me see if I can do 30 minutes. Then you find, maybe you did even 40 minutes. Okay, now you know you're capable of doing 30 minutes. Now you can go to your goal. You've just taken a progressive way. This is not failure. This is why I didn't want to say you would have failed if you just didn't do the 30 minutes straight. Okay, so I think this is the best example I can give you at the moment of where adjustability really comes into play. Okay. So now, adjusted example. We've now adjusted this example. Now I'm going to say, I am going to progressively improve my physical fitness over the next 12 weeks by running 30 minutes 3 times a week with some 5-minute interval, with some 5-minute walking intervals in between for 3 weeks. Then run for 30 minutes 3 times a week for the following 9 weeks so I can participate in a charity 5K run. I'll read that again, a bit slower this time. I am going to progressively improve my physical fitness over the next 12 weeks. That's your what? By running 30 minutes 3 times a week with some 5-minute walking intervals in between for 3 weeks. Then run 30 minutes 3 times a week for the following 9 weeks. This is your how. Then your value. So I can participate in a charity 5K run. We're not changing that. Okay. So note that I'm very deliberate on words, especially when it comes to writing down for your goals. Note that I used the word some. Okay. So I said with some 5-minute walking intervals in between. I use the word some. The word some is very vague. This is now like blurry again. So it's contradictory to what we said at the beginning, right? But the reason why I use the word some is because I can. This is because this is after I've clearly mapped out how I'm going to do it. We've already discussed that we're going to do 5 minutes first. The first week is 5 minutes, 5 minutes walk, 5 minutes run. Then you repeat that same thing twice. Then you do that for the first weeks, the first 3 days that you're running. Then second week, we adjusted 5 minutes walking, 10 minutes running. Third week, now we'll go into actually, I should have said. So I should have said, it's the first 2 weeks. Sorry. Then the third week, you're already running 30 minutes flat. So sorry, that was my bad. But anyway, so this is the adjusted version of the goal. Okay. So if you're going to use the word some or very vague words, make sure that you have an aside. You have somewhere else that you've written down. You clearly mapped out exactly how you're going to do it. Because obviously, if you write a paragraph of a goal, you're gonna feel overwhelmed just because the goal is so long, and then you're gonna feel like this is too overwhelming for me before you even take action. Okay, so I want to keep it short to that sentence. Like I said, we shouldn't make the process overwhelming either. Okay, yeah. So that's that. All right. So, like I said, not running 30 minutes is not failure. All right. Okay. And then you got the R, relevant. This aligns with a desire to participate in a charity 5K run. That's straightforward. Then you've got the T, that's time bound, 12-week deadline. So note that I put 12 weeks at the beginning. I put 12 weeks just to make it clear. I could have just left it alone and just say that the first 2 weeks, not 3 weeks, the first 2 weeks we do this. In the next 10 weeks, that is, we do this. So that makes a total of 12 weeks anyway. Okay, but just for clarity, I said I'm going to progressively improve my physical fitness over the next 12 weeks. Then the rest of the stuff. You don't have to do that, but I just did it for the sake of clarity so that you better understand where we're coming from. Okay, so those are the 5 reasons why you might not be as productive as you want to be. SMART goals. Okay, you can actually just say the George's twins, the what and the how. Then so that's actually 2 main reasons, and then the 2 main reasons are further broken down by the other 5. Okay, right. So hopefully that makes sense, right? And then in summary, when you're setting your goal for effectiveness now, you say what it is that you're going to do by saying, I am going to blank space, fill in that blank space. By, you work on the how by adding by blank space, fill in that. And then you have the so, which speaks to your value. Okay, put this all in one sentence, right? And then from there, you then look at your goal and you check if it's clear enough, check if it's specific enough, okay, to you, and there's no blurry. You haven't left out any room for blurred vision. Okay, for the outcome, you have to see clearly in your mind before it even happens. Measurability, check if you have set aside a way you can track it. That's already done by the how. Adjustability. So you don't really need to check if it's adjustable. You only adjust when it's absolutely necessary. Okay. And along the lines of specificity, remember, Good Habits talked about which constraints might get into your way. Okay, so when the other sources were talking about achievability, attainability, you can slot that into which constraints might get into your way. If there's something that, if you see that you're lacking resources or something, or there's something that you need that might stop you from getting the goal done, then you might need a pre-goal to get those resources first, and then you get moving for your goal. Don't ever let yourself excuse yourself just for saying, okay, because I don't have this and that means I can't do this and that. No, if that's just, yeah, that's not personal growth at all. It's only personal regression, on the contrary. Okay. So adjustability, and then you got the R. Check if it's relevant. You can do that with the so. Everything that comes after so, that blank space, that in that blank space, that's when you get your relevance. And then just check if the whole thing just feeds into your values. Then you got your time bound. Check if there's a time limit for this. What deadline have you given yourself? Okay, right. So that's that. And another thing in summary is that you'll find some of these goals actually just feed into each other. I think we talked about it briefly, but how when you're adjusting, you can check measurability. You can measure and see if when you're adjusting, when you're looking at adjustability, your values might have changed. Now you have to measure your goal against your value and see to what extent is this goal aligned with my current values. Okay, then adjustability then comes into play. So the S.M.A.R.T, they just feed into each other. They're kind of related. Okay, so as we wrap this up, let me know in the comment section what you think is an example of a SMART goal. Let me know as well if you found this video helpful. But before you do that, I have a challenge for you, actually, because I've just shared with you the conclusion that I came to. Okay, but you find that this might not be as effective for you. Like I said, I've got my own ways, my own understanding. A is adjustable. I'm the only person that I know that has adjustable, and I've explained to you what my reasons are, but you might not really agree with those reasons. So try this. Check the time when you're on the device that you're watching this from, or any close device that has a clock or that tells the time. Check what the time is right now. Okay, and then 24 hours from now, I'm challenging you to set a goal for yourself, a SMART one, using the what and the how, and then looking at it through the SMART lens. Okay, within 24 hours, you should have that goal done. You should have that goal written down, and then don't for T. Sorry, I'm gonna have to give you the T right now. The T, don't let it take over a week. Over a week is too long, so it should be something that you can do over the period of a week. Okay, it's not sudden that you have to do it today, but if you can do it today, all the better. And another thing, keep it simple. Keep it simple enough, so that you can do it within a week, but also challenging enough so that you can properly test this blueprint for yourself and see how effective it is. Because experience is the best teacher. Okay, so you experience it and then you see if it works. Then after we come back to this video, let me know in the comment section if you have found this helpful. You can let me know now, but yeah, I am challenging you still to try this for yourself. Okay, if you disagree with me, let me know in the comment section as well, because I know that there's a chance I might be wrong. I'm still learning. You've learned today, but if you've got something to share with me that I could learn from, I'm all ears. So please do share that in the comment section. But just make sure that if you're disagreeing, come on with a legitimate and constructive disagreement. Don't just be constructive about it. Okay, all right. If you have any questions, let me know again in the comment section. If something wasn't clear enough and you need a bit more explanation on that, let me know in the comment section and I'll respond to that. And let me know also if you would like more content like this. This is the first video that I've sat down and actually just talked. Usually I only do this in yoga classes. But I've decided to share this with you guys for people that can't make it. if you're the kind of person that can't make yoga on Saturday mornings or something, because this is where we talk a lot about this, then yeah, here you are. You can find this on YouTube now. Okay, so let me know if you want to have more videos like this as well. Otherwise, today is Sunday. I'm recording this on Sunday. I was hoping to do this before Easter, but anyway, it's Good Sunday today. I hope that you have had and are still having a beautiful, pleasant, and memorable Easter. So yeah, this is Happy Easter to you. My name is Rayne. If you don't know me yet, I'm Rayne Jaggrevade, here to serve you in the lines of personal growth, be it in dance, fitness, or yoga. Aside from that, I'm also a creative artist, a choreographer, and an instructor. Okay. Yeah, have a blessed day. Enjoy. Let me know how the challenge goes. Hopefully you accept it for your personal growth. If you're serious about personal growth, you will accept this challenge. Okay. And let me know how it goes. I look forward to hearing from you in a week's time. Goodbye.